today we are joined by Joseph Blind Joe Bommersbach. His picture is shown on the slide here from The Voice back in 2015. There's lots of lights in the background. He's wearing a checkered black and white shirt with a cowboy hat. He has a guitar on his lap, and the words "The Voice, the Blind auditions" are typed in front of him. So he is a totally blind singer-songwriter born and raised in and around the Fargo, North Dakota area. He was introduced to the guitar by his grandfather and quickly learned that he had an ear and a voice for music. In 2015, he participated in season 9 of NBC's The Voice, which helped to make him a household name. He has opened for artists such as Dave and Alec Coe, Craig Morgan, John Anderson, James Otto, Colin Ray, Jake Owen, Buddy Guy, Brett Michaels of Poison, and annually appears at North Dakota venues like North Dakota Country Fest in New Salem. Okay, so welcome, Joe.
Hello,
thank you for coming. So
thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I think I can hear you good, so that must mean everyone can, hopefully. So
right, and everybody can you see me okay?
We don't see a camera.
How about now?
But I can just put the picture back up with you from The Voice if you want me to just share that.
We can see him. We can see him.
Oh,
we can see Joe.
Perfect, because it said start my video and I pushed that. I figured that at least that button will work, hopefully. So,
okay, there you are. We're happy to see you in person.
Thank you guys, and thank you for putting up with me. You know, it's one of those days where I'm not used to Zoom meetings actually, and I know this is kind of how everybody works. So I decided that I'd get my video and mic set up on my Macintosh, you know, my awesome M1 Mac Mini, and get everything ready to go. And I was in the meeting at like 7:55.
Yeah.
And still, of course, technology just slaps me in the face like it usually does. But I'm so glad to be here. Rhea, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And yeah, let's talk accessibility, man. There's a lot we can talk about, but what I kind of wanted to focus on today is accessibility with the internet and websites and technology and that kind of thing. We can touch on, you know, accessibility with venues as well. But for me, as far as accessibility is concerned, you know, I'm totally blind. But I think when we talk about venues and stuff like that, that's more of a wheelchair accessible kind of thing. And if you do want to go into that after I get done talking about technology and the internet, you know, feel free to ask me, because I got a lot to talk about on that too. Because as far as handicapped accessibility, man, we are sorely lacking in this country, unfortunately. It's getting a little better though. But yeah, technology is kind of where I am right now as far as my business and kind of hold on, I'm going to mute my speech here so this doesn't talk in my ear. But technology and accessibility and the internet, I think one of the biggest accessibility problems that I have as a blind person is websites in general. And here's where the problem kind of comes into play. Now, lately, there's been a couple of companies, and I don't want to name any names, I don't want to call anybody out, but a lot of bigger companies have joined on with these quote unquote accessibility companies. And what these companies do is they say, you know, they'll send you something and they'll say, hey, you want to make your website accessibility compliant? No problem. What we'll do is we can do that for you. You know, you just have to pay a certain fee and we'll make it accessible for you. And they put kind of an overlay on your website, excuse me, that doesn't do a bad job, but it's kind of it's not really what you're looking for. And my worry is that companies like this are really growing at a fast rate because it's something easy that people can do. You know, you see that and you don't know any different. So you say, oh, cool, this will make our website accessible. I'll give these guys their cash. They'll hook us up with an overlay and bam, it's done. But the problem is these companies for the most part, and of course I can't speak for all companies, but most of these accessibility companies are going about accessibility with a sighted perspective to an extent. They're not getting in deep, and they're not discussing with blind people, especially blind programmers, computer programmers, which there are tons of them out there. You know, they're not saying anything to them as to how, asking them any questions. What, you know, hey, we put up this overlay on our website. What do you think about it? And I think that if they did that, they would find that accessibility isn't just in an overlay. It's really in the design of the website itself. It's in the code. And to get down to the, you know, getting down to the real nitty gritty of it, you know, things like certain links or videos or video players, you know, this is a lot of stuff that we don't think about, you know, when we, and I don't think about it either sometimes when I put stuff up, you know, is this play button, you know, if I'm promoting a video for an upcoming concert, maybe I have a promo or something like that, is the video player that I'm using going to be accessible for somebody, you know, to the point where can they use their screen reader and hit the play button, or the stop button, or can they fast forward and rewind, and all that stuff is in the code, and that's not going to be fixed by just, you know, some overlay that helps a little bit but doesn't help all the way. So I think it's really important to really talk to people and get their opinion on stuff. Now, I can only speak for blind people. Like I said, I can't speak for you know, deaf people and that kind of thing, or even low vision people. I'm totally blind myself. So, but I know a lot of people that are low vision, and it's something that they talk about too, is text, you know, is very important. Is there a way, if you have small text on your website or app or whatever, to make the text bigger and smaller? Do you have a zoom thing? And this is all stuff, again, that that really, I think, has to be implemented at the beginning of whatever you're doing. Otherwise, as a programmer, you know, you have to go back in and readjust everything, and that's a real pain in the butt. So, you know, with so many different types of visual impairments, I think really what I'd like to see from people who really care about accessibility is, you know, 2 or 3 different people, maybe, that if you can find 2 or 3 different people with different visual acuity, and just ask them, you know, or have them be involved in the process. That's a huge thing that I see a lot, is people get really excited about an accessibility thing that they've done, or something that, you know, oh, this is for the blind and we think it's going to be wonderful. You see these articles all the time about, you know, oh, look what we're doing for blind people. They're really going to love this. And the whole article goes on and on about how great it is that they're helping. And it is, it's wonderful. It's fantastic that people want to help. And we're so thankful for that. But the thing of it is, and I'm probably going to say this 19 more times during this whole little spiel that I have, it's so important to get people on board with the testing. And when you're building these sites, when you're building your apps, you know, talking to people throughout the entire process and asking them, hey, you know, what's going to help you? What can we do to make this as easy as possible for you? What do you need? You know, and that way, you know, as you're going through and setting everything up, building everything, you have someone there going, hey, you know, while we're at this stage of the process, could we maybe label this button? I noticed this button wasn't labeled correctly. Or can we make sure that this link tells people, you know, that we have some text, so it's not just telling people the name of the link, but it's also giving them a description, or, you know, some alternative text, and all that can be done layered in with the programmer and stuff like that. let's see, what else did I have as far as the internet?
Well, I can ask
And
you, Joe,
yeah,
what,
and if you guys have any questions or anything like that, I don't want to like take the floor. So just chime in at
no,
any
it's
time. And
yours.
well, chime in at any time. And yeah, you know, I'm very scatterbrained, as you can probably tell by the way I'm talking. I tend to ramble. So please feel free to ask any kind of questions or
Well,
anything like that.
hey, Joe, there is a question in the chat
Sure.
from Linda Boyd in Fargo.
Hi,
And
Linda.
her question says, if we can't rely on companies who specialize in making websites more accessible to blind people, what can we do as non-programmers on our own?
Well, that is a wonderful question. If here's the thing, there's a difference between companies that will help you get, you know, actually help you getting your website accessible versus companies that will just present an overlay and make something easy. You know what I mean? They'll say, oh, we have this overlay and here, you know, just pay this fee and we'll take care of the rest, stuff like that. What you really want to look for, and this is an example of a website where you could really get down to brass tacks with Apple accessibility. Anyways, there's a website called Apple Viz, APPLEVIS, and that it's a forum, and it's not specifically for accessibility. It's an iPhone and iOS app forum, but they have a lot of blind people that use that forum. What I would do if I were building a website is I would go on to that forum or something similar, find a blind or visually impaired forum online and make a post and say, hey, you know, my name is so-and-so, I work with this company and we want to make sure that our website is accessible. So we're coming to you to ask you, what can we do to make this happen? And believe me, blind people have no problem telling you exactly what you can do to make it happen. And they will give it to you in no uncertain terms. And you'll probably get very tired of them because they are very persistent and very, I don't want to say stubborn, but you know, we know what we want. And
Sure.
and so that, again, that website is appleviz.com, APPLEVIS.com. And if you just go to Google and type in blind and visually impaired forums, you'll find a number of different things. You know, there are some Android accessibility forums also out there. Yeah, so I guess that would be my answer to that question. I hope that helps, Linda.
Great, thank you, Joe. This is Kim talking on behalf of the chat.
Hi, Kim.
Hi, Joe. Does anyone else have any other questions that they'd like to directly ask Joe? Ria, did you have some questions that you wanted to cover?
I am a designer. I'm not a coder, but I do have quite a bit of authority on our North Dakota Council on the Arts website. And so I know I talked to you, Joe, a little bit about alt text. And
Yes,
just
yep.
how much do you need to know about a picture? You know,
Yeah.
and if you actually listen to your reader tell you what the picture is, or do you just tab and skip over that?
You know, it really depends, Ria. It really depends on what you're doing. Most times, you know, when if you're talking about links and stuff, you can get everything you need to know from what the link is labeled as. There are those websites that go above and beyond, and they'll kind of give you a little more in-depth description if you wait 2 seconds, you know, and that's really cool. And I appreciate that. But for me, most of the time when it's links and stuff, it doesn't bother me. Now, pictures is a completely different situation. I love getting as much information as I can from a picture. And so that alt text on pictures, so important for us blind people, because the more information we have, the fuller the picture becomes in our minds. So I would say definitely photos with alt text, huge thing. If you can do that, and again, I'm not sure how that's all done, But man, that is something that is just absolutely amazing. And now, thankfully, and I hesitate to bring this up because I think people might hear this and go, "Oh, well, you have this, so why do we need to do alt text?" But we have to remember that technology, and I think we all can relate to this because of my stupid technology problems this morning. Technology is not our friend sometimes, and we have now image description that's built into iPhones and Macintosh and even Windows now, so it'll give you a basic description, but there's nothing better than that alt text, that human interaction and that human way of saying what is on the screen, and that way you're not reliant on a machine that could be wrong. I mean, I've had tons of pictures described to me and they're just not right, because we have to face facts, ladies and gents. Machines are not human beings, and we're always going to be a little bit better than they are, no matter what kind of algorithm they come up with and try to push down our throat about how great and wonderful it is. And it's awesome, and I'm so grateful for it. But nothing beats the human part of all this, especially when you're blind. So
I have a quick question to follow up. This is Linda Boyd.
hi, Linda.
Hi. I'm probably not alone in a lot of us small nonprofits who use a very basic, easy, user-friendly platform to design our own websites. We're not coders. So I use
like WordPress.
Squarespace. So
sure, Squarespace.
Does anyone know if you can do alt text on those kinds of, what you're able to do design-wise is so limited on those kind of platforms.
Right.
Can you do alt text on Squarespace, if anyone knows?
Yeah, that I'm not sure of, and that might actually be a question just to throw at their customer service team and see what they say about that. And that is the thing with Squarespace too, and a lot of smaller company websites. For example, I use a website called Bandzoogle for my band website, and as a result, I don't have the accessibility that I would like there either. And I get that. And really, the sad part of it is, Linda, or the sad reality is that the only way that you can really get any more kind of accessibility is reaching out to them and just saying, hey, is this something you can implement? And a lot of times companies will, they'll try to work with you, but a lot of times too, they just, it's not a priority for a lot of the bigger companies. Squarespace, I have tried to talk to a couple times, and although they've been responsive, it's been kind of a canned email response, like, hey, yes, we care about accessibility. It's something we're looking into. WordPress is another website building app, and it's kind of the same way, although they've gotten a lot better now with accessibility, and they're really listening to their customers and stuff like that. But
so
yeah,
I want to say, Joe, thank you. This is really good information. There's another question. If you can answer it quickly,
sure.
That would be great. And it's about if you were attending a children's choir concert, what might enhance your experience that group might not think about? And then we'll turn it back over to Ria and get on to the next speaker.
If I were attending a children's choir concert, which I do quite frequently, I have a lot of nieces and nephews. In that case, for me, there's really not too much that I could say would really enhance the experience. I think in a situation like that, you usually go with a friend or a family member, so you don't really have to worry about having anybody help you to your seat or anything like that. And even if you did, people are very accommodating. I think we get this feeling that our world is kind of crumbling and everybody's mean and everybody hates everybody, but the real reality of it is people love each other, and if you ask for help, you'll get it. So I can't really think of anything. Hopefully that was quick enough.
Well, thank you, Joe. And I know you're going to be able to stay with us for most of the morning. Obviously, we all take breaks at different times, but so please add your insight. If you're able to use the chat, please tell us your thoughts as we go along. I know we have some great speakers today that will add maybe some information to this, especially with the new technology that Facebook and Instagram and different social media accounts are offering. But yeah, so I was so excited that you could be here today.
Thank you for having me, Ria. And I just want to say, guys, I am very new to this Zoom thing. Like I said, I know that sounds crazy because we've been doing this for so long, but my job does not revolve around meetings. My job revolves around playing shows and writing songs. So if I don't put anything in the chat, please know that I'm listening and I'm here. And if you have any, anything you want to say to me or anything like that, just do it vocally rather than in the chat, because this is all kind of confusing to me. So thank you very much for listening.
Great.